Test. 1, 2, check. Hello again, everybody. I'm Larry Hamilton. Welcome to my YouTube painting channel. Thank you for watching. Today we're going to do an oil painting, and it's going to be a night scene, a nocturnal scene of a nice little cabin in the woods, and cottage, I guess I call it, and a nice winter scene, and we're going to try to give it some nice emotional value. First, I wanted to mention to you that today is a day that a lot of science people and mathematicians and people like. It's called Pythagorean Theorem Day, and basically what that means is there's if you're familiar with algebra and math a little bit, there's a Pythagorean theorem that says that the square of the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the squares of the opposite two sides. That may have rang a bell if you've watched The Wizard of Oz and the Scarecrow gets a brain. He comes up with this. So basically all it means is today's date is 12, 16, 20. 12, 16, and 20. If you square those, the sum of 12 and the sum of 16 squared, sum of 12 squared, and the sum of 16 squared equals 20 squared. Big deal. It's a right triangle, but the Pythagorean theorem has been around for a long, long time. It's used a lot in construction, used a lot in algebra, two-dimensional navigation. So I just want to pay homage to that since I do have a math major. I majored in math in college, and I'm still kind of partial to that kind of stuff. But anyway, I just thought I would bring it up. It's nothing urgent or magnanimous, but it's kind of a nice little thing to know. There's these numbers that run around the world, and periodically they have certain meaning, and people like to put meanings to them. And so this particular set of numbers makes the Pythagorean theorem accurate. So it is already accurate, but anyway, that's all I wanted to say there. So back to the painting. We're going to do 11 by 14 canvas. I have this sketch here. I'm not going to go to the computer. I really don't have any photos to show you. I took a sort of like a cabin out of another photograph I had, so the photograph I had really doesn't represent the sketch at all. But I did put it on my canvas here with graphite, and it has this workable fixative. I think I've told you that before. I'm not going to use liquid white today. I'm going to use this sketch, and I'm going to use some liquid. And basically it's I use this workable fixative to keep the graphite from running around to mixing with the paint. So I have a very slight coating of this spray on there. And so I'm going to cover my canvas today with liquid, which is a nice medium that's sold by Winsor Newton. And it really speeds up the drying time a little bit. I've used this from time to time when I don't use liquid white. It does what liquid white does, which is really thins the paint out, lets it move easily across the canvas. You don't have to use as much paint as you would without some medium like this. So I'll be putting that on to cover the canvas, and hopefully it will be light enough that we can actually see the sketch as we paint. So because this is an architectural composition, have to be fairly precise with the angles. It also is a bit of a I guess I want to tell you it's a bit of a perspective challenge, because the scene is, you're looking down upon this scene, and so the angles and the perspective are very different than you would look if your eye level was down at, say, the porch level. So we're kind of up on a hill, we're looking down, got some mountains in the background, it's going to be dark and that sort of thing. So that's really all I want to show you here. I would like to get the canvas arranged here. We're just going to take off and get right into this, and I'll get my palette set up, my canvas set up, and make sure you can see all of that. I think it's good. Okay, I have a couple other cameras. If this gets out of whack, I can let you see something from the side. I have one over on the side here, but I just want to get going. I'll talk to you about the paints here, my standard paints I forgot to mention. I want to show you that. Here's my liquid. It's on my little paper plate, and I'll be using that to thin the paint down and cover the canvas. I have my standard Bob Ross paints here: titanium white, phthalo blue, Prussian blue, midnight black, Van Dyke brown, dark sienna, alizarin crimson, sap green, cad yellow, yellow ochre, Indian yellow, bright red, and I have a Grumbacher color here called ultraviolet. So I'm going to have a lot of dark colors in the background. I'm going to try to pull the light through and show some nice reflections here on the snow. I'm going to have some snow that's not going to be totally white. It's going to be sort of an off-white gray. And so that's basically the palette. I've got my set of brushes, my Bob Ross brushes. I have a whole set here of the bigger brushes. I have the fan brushes. I have filberts. I have several of these script liners, and but I have a whole group of these other smaller brushes. We're going to get into some detail. I don't know how long it's going to take me to do this painting, but I've got plenty of small brushes if I need to get in and make some small marks around those windows and around that porch and some areas that aren't going to be amenable to using a large brush. So I want to try to do this in a bit of detail, more than I would typically do, certainly more than Bob Ross detail would typically do. So I've got some photos here that I can reference, but it's not the photo of what the sketch is, so I'm going to use that as my color reference and value reference. And the sketch is out on my website, and you can go out and get it and use it for your own painting. So let's go back now to the canvas, and I think I'm ready to go. I'm going to just use a small brush here to put on the some of this liquid, and I just want to get the whole canvas sort of covered with a nice, actually I could probably use the bigger brush even for this. I don't know why I started with this fan brush, because I had it handy here, I guess. But I'm going to just kind of cover the whole thing with a really light coating of liquid, and you'll notice that it covers, and because of the way I've got the this fixative sprayed over the top of it, it doesn't wipe out the sketch. It doesn't blend that graphite into the paint that I'm putting on, and it just leaves a nice transparent layer that we can see through, and we can still see our sketch, and we can still get all our reference points while we're painting, which is always a problem. I've brought that up a number of times when I talk about sticking slavishly to the Bob Ross method, where you use liquid white, and then if you have any sort of a sketch or any sort of a image that you want to try to protect and make as accurate as possible, the liquid white just wipes that out. So I want this to cover very nicely, very lightly. I'm putting it on probably as light as I would liquid white if I were putting liquid white on. So basically you have the sketch covered with liquid, and it has the transparency that lets us see the sketch underneath, which is very, very valuable for what we're doing here today. Okay. Hi Barry, question is, do I have to buy turpentine to use with oil paint? No, you don't. There's many odorless thinners out there. Matter of fact, Bob Ross sells one, but there's several that are out there that you don't have to use turpentine to get the paint to dissolve out of your brushes and that sort of thing. That's typically what turpentine has been used for. It's also used to thin down the paint a little bit in certain situations, but basically you don't have to use turpentine at all. Barry, thanks for asking. Okay, I'm going to check this and see. I just have almost no oil on my finger when I do that, so that's good. It gives me a nice underpainting here under canvas covering, and you can't even see it's there, but you know I did it. And make sure you can see that well. Okay, I'm just checking my layout here for the online live viewers. All right, so we're going to start the top. Typically I start the top and go from back to front. Back meaning the farthest away is the first thing I will be painting, and then I move forward in the painting to get closer and closer to the foreground. So with that in mind, I'm going to start with some of this back. I'm going to probably use more of my Trekell brushes. All these big black brushes are made by Trekell, T-R-E-K-E-L-L, Trekell.com. And they're really, I find them very nice to work with. And I've got a good mixture of flats and filberts. And I want this to really be dark, but you see the same thing happens here that happens with liquid white. Because I have that underpainting on here, It thins it out. You see how it just sort of fades as we come down. I want it to be good and dark, so I'm using black and Prussian blue together. So we're getting the blue in there, and we're getting the black, and because this dries, this helps dry the paint out considerably faster. We may be able to come back on this and hit a little bit of a repainting of some of it if you want to. I'm going to lighten up now, add just a little titanium white in here and sort of getting this a lighter shade here at the horizon level. At least it's the area where the mountains meet the sky. And see how that works. Probably use some more dark. Thinning the paint down does take a lot of the color out, so you have to kind of take that into account when you're doing these kind of paintings. And you, if you use a medium of any kind, you want to make sure you have it dark enough. Usually I typically get accused of not having enough dark in my paintings, whether it's oil or watercolor. I usually have an issue to try to make it dark enough. Put a little alizarin in there to give a little bit of a horizon look. I'm going to use one of my, I also have these other little, these are like watercolor brushes, but they're really soft, and they take this and they can really soften this up rather than using the big brushes that Bob Ross would typically use to sort of go across and kind of smooth it all together. This kind of gives a very nice soft edges, getting rid of all the hard edges. Okay, Nicole, well, glad to see you checked in. I will have this will be recorded, and it will be able to see it later. And I also re-edit these videos and put them out again, so if you can't see the replay while it's still available on YouTube, I will be reposting the entire video after I edit it and take out some of the stuff that I prefer not to have in. All right, so I think you can see a little bit of the this alizarin crimson color in here that's sort of lightening up the top. Okay, so we'll just leave it like that. This is a very nice little soft brush. Okay, so we have a really dark at the top. Coming down, we have a little bit different value at each side, so it's not one big dark black color across all the top. And then we're going to start with our mountains now. The mountains are darker yet. So I'm going to use my same brush here. I'm going to use more ultraviolet and black and Prussian blue. See if I can get even the darker color for these mountains. They do have some snow in them back here, but I'm going to put that in maybe on top. Okay, so you see how much darker that is? So all of this is going to tell the viewer that we have a nocturnal scene here. I leave room for my smoke pillars here coming out of the chimney, and do some negative painting around my trees there. So these flat brushes make a nice sharp edge. If I want a sharp edge on something, I can always get it with these flat brushes. Okay, so You see a lot of brush strokes in there, and I can take those out in a little bit. So I'm going to be still doing negative painting because of the way this is designed. I've got to paint around my birch trees and palm trees over, or pine trees over here. Kind of like this flat brush. Make it meet up here so it looks like it connects together. Okay. Down here, just be putting in some things that look dark, and even maybe add a little bit of Van Dyke brown in some of this. Start getting down into areas where we get mountains and the foothills a little closer maybe. I'm just kind of changing the color so I don't have one boring color going all the way across here. These are going to be covered by tree. Let's see, this is going to have a okay, so you can see my trees sticking through there. Well, this is all called negative painting, what I'm doing here. Come back and take another swipe at that with my soft brush here. Oh, that over there has to come down further. It's got to come all the way down here. There. Okay. Looking. This brush really is probably slightly stiffer than I want. I want something softer. I'll see if this is softer. Okay. Just taking out some edges and leaving it kind of connected together there. All right. Sort of painted over my smokestack coming out of here, but it's okay. I do have another brush that does a similar type duty. It's one of these mop brushes. It has different kind of bristles. It may even make a softer edge, I don't know. So the idea is you don't want to have these mountains have too much definition in them. I want some, but I don't want it to be so much that it makes you look back there. Put another little set of dark in here. I want to see some more definition in some other closer mountains. Let's just make it darker here, and it will get darker as it comes out over here on this side too. So that's what we want. All right. Enough for that. I want this to show up a little lighter down here. I'm going to pick up a little bit of my white and lighten this up a little bit over here. This area I want it to be grayer, sort of a steel, more of a steel gray. Okay. So we're going to start the some of the snow behind these trees back here. It's going to have a gray, bluish gray tint to it. So I'm just picking up titanium white, adding to this mixture, and bringing it down to the area that's going to have more foreground snow in it, right here. Okay. Keep adding. All right, let's see. This is all, that's tree, this is house, tree there. I've got some of this same color, this color over here in this area, around this chimney, back there. Got a big tree that's hiding everything else there. So that's, I'm just getting a good kind of base covering over everything here, as much as I can. And it's all going to be background snow and whatever's in the background here. I'm going to come forward, we're going to be picking up more snow. Come here. Okay, I think you can see the outline of the house, you can see the outline of the trees. So here we're going to have more grade down, probably more of my black and white gray instead of blue and white maybe. See how much I haven't used hardly any paint. This is because of this BLICK one. It's basically putting on a very thin coat of paint. It takes very little paint to get a lot of coverage on your canvas, which is what I'm using it for. And so I'm just underpainting a lot of this stuff here with either pure titanium white or titanium with a little bit of midnight black in it to kind of gray it down. And I don't know if you can see that well or not to me. I'm over here painting on this right corner and people are looking at it live. They're not seeing I have my palette covering everything. Okay, this is tree, this is bush. Okay, let's get some more. You can't have this snow to be completely white because it really is dark. It's, you know, it's a nocturnal scene, so you want to have it. You want the white to show, but you want it to be an off-white color. You want it to and this is all snow coming down here. So I'm going to put in a underpainting of this white all the way down. There's sort of a road or something that goes along here that we're going to work on after a while. But I'm getting a lot of this canvas covered here. I should mention, if you're watching live, if you have any questions, there's a chat window here that you can type in a question or a comment if you're not sure what I'm doing or why I'm doing it. I might be able to explain why I'm doing it. I've got some rocks and boulders and things in here. Let's just get this all covered. That, more in here. Okay. So I'm getting a pretty good covering around this cottage. And we'll be putting more in here. Kind of covering up some of my pencil lines now, you can see. And here, more blue. It'll be kind of icy and cold. And I want this roadway or path or whatever it is, I want it to be darker than what's around it because I want to emphasize some shadows in there. And so we'll do it this way. Sort of darken it down as we go across. Okay, there we go. All right, so I've got a good chunk of this painting covered. So I think the sky, I'm going to leave it alone probably. I think it's done about enough. I might want to straighten out this, let's see here. No, I'm going to use that for snow. I was thinking let me look here. No, that's okay. I think it's pretty good. I should have a little bit darker. This dark here comes across. There's a smoke coming up out of these chimneys, and the color I've got on the right side of that doesn't match the color on the left. So here I want to bring this color, get that color back, bring this color out over here and sort of combine it with what goes over here. That'll be a little more representative, more accurate. Let it blend in here. That's too light. Picked up that white paint. Yeah. Darker. Yeah, there. This is the one I was worried about. I'm going to straighten that. It doesn't quite look like a mountain. It looks like a... Okay. Okay, I think that's pretty good for that section. These sections. So now I can go in and either put in my trees, which are behind the house, so I can do that. Instead of putting them, I'll be painting negatively around my cottage. And it's going to be a dark combination of dark green, maybe some Van Dyke brown, maybe some ultraviolet, maybe a little Prussian blue. I want to get a dark, greenish dark color here. Still using this 1/2 inch flat, but up here I'm going to start in and put this tree here that's sort of going up into the sky. Again, it's dark, and you don't want it to be so bright that it looks like it's a sunny day. Could be using my fan brush for this, but I've chosen to use a flat, so it doesn't mean that you can't use different brushes for other purposes. So I'll use this brush to square this off, top of this cottage roof. Putting in brown, I'm putting in sap green, Prussian blue, maybe even a little ultraviolet. Keep this coming down here. I want to paint around this place where the snow hits. Like that. I don't want these to be identical. I want them to have some different sizes and widths. Okay. Okay, let's take that off the top up there. And it could be a little darker even here. It's really in silhouette, which is what this should be dark here right behind the house. A little darker. Let's see if I can get a little bit darker here on that chimney. Okay. Let's see if we can put in some sort of a... We're going to come back and put some snow over this, but I want to try to get a few... That's not going to do it. Okay, put a little bit of a trunk in there. All right, let's leave that for now. Come back and got this other tree on the right side. I might as well do it while I got all this color in my brush. Put maybe a couple more dark things in here. Like that, and then let's go over here, and this one is sort of another one that's want it to be close over here. I have to have this sharp edge again. This flat edge, flat brush is really good for this. See how we're looking here. Here. Actually, it has to fit back in here too. Okay. Pretty good. Doing a few vertical things in there. Maybe fix this one up a little bit better. I don't know. Okay, so I think those trees are pretty well done. I'm going to come back and put some snow on that after a while before I finish, but I want to get it at least laid in and have this some of this stuff on there so I don't have to worry with the big part of the tree. All right, so now what do we got? We got these birch trees over here. All right. I love this little half-inch brush. So far I've done almost this whole painting with this flat brush. And now these all are sort of a white, off-white color. And so I'm going to get myself some white out here in the middle and use a little bit of my gray, my black, factored in, and a little more white. And I even see in the photograph I'm looking at, I even see some like ochre color coming from the left side. It's like there's light coming from the left. I think that's where the light is coming from on this. I don't know where all the light's coming from, but it is there. So let's see if we can mimic this thing here. Put these things in. Take this guy up here. Got a big brush full of paint and just kind of put them down there. So I'm using titanium white, a touch of yellow ochre, a little bit of midnight black, and trying to get this light white, off-white color. So I have some okay, there's one that's almost done. And let's go get another one. This one over here is smaller, and it's not nearly as wide. So that one and the third part of a birch tree setup is this one over here that's right on the edge of the canvas. So I don't know why I got this dark paint in here. I should have probably left that out. Okay, we're going to have dark things going across there, dark green stuff. Fine tune it. I'll be putting in some darker marks here in some places to kind of make it look like it's birch trees. It's probably too big a brush to do it with, but we'll be putting in a few more things here to give it some. You got to give it some roundedness. So you do that by giving these slight curved brush strokes like this, and just a few of those, and all of a sudden it looks like it's a little more three-dimensional. Up here, same deal. Okay. And this guy's going to have the same kind of stuff going on. And down here. Okay, these trees, I want to make sure they merge into the grasses, or into the, not grasses, into the snow. Should typically be darker. The bottom, they tend to have more brown and colors like that at the bottom. All right, this thing here could probably be incorporated as part of the tree itself. I'm going to cover some of this up, so I'm not too concerned about exactly what it looks like. I'm going to be putting some big trees. I've left room for big dark birch trees and some evergreens hanging down there. So, all right, that's pretty decent. I'm going to stop with that. And while I still got this big brush going, I'm going to go back and get some of my greens, and I'm going to get a little bit different color. I'm going to put more ultraviolet in this green along with my Prussian blue, and I'm going to get a big brush full of paint here, and up here we're going to start putting in bam, bam, bam. Need more paint. This is where a big brush would maybe help, but this is the biggest flat brush I have right now. This is too light back in here probably, but I want these trees to be really, really dark. Come out here and maybe even go over. They should probably overlap. A little bit of that tree behind it, which is good. Tree may not be behind it, but it's certainly just filling in now the white spots here and trying to connect this all together. Okay. Like that, like this. Cover the mountain up, cover the tree up, cover this tree up, even come over here and we'll put a few more dark things coming down like this out of the sky here. So we've got plenty of foliage here. Okay. Take that out. It's too bright sitting over there. There we go. Don't want to have a lot of white over here on the edge to pull your eye over there, so I'm going to tone some of that down. All right, let's see, these should probably not leave that gap in there. Cover this one up a little bit. All right, when I turn around and look at it, it looks fairly decent. I'm going to stop on that. Go back, check some of these others. May need some more darks in there. Putting in some more layers of dark in these trees. Okay, so much. I don't want to destroy that. I got to put some snow over that. I don't want to forget to do that. Okay, so now we have these trees are. Let me get my script liner again here and see if I can put a few of we're going to be taking longer than an hour today, folks, for sure. May even run closer to 2 hours, I don't know, but I'm going to put in a few little thin lines here. Maybe want to give it some indication of what this is. I'm just using Van Dyke brown with a lot of thinner in it. And there's some other branches that kind of come up here from somewhere. I don't know where. I'm putting a lot of this detail in the background so I can have it done. Don't have to come back and worry with it too much. So these are going to be done there, down over here. All right, I think I'll leave that for now and start working maybe on this cabin. I do see an area that I could fix up a little bit. This kind of looks funny right here. I'm not sure what all that's supposed to be. I think that's supposed to be the mountain where it comes down and kind of runs into the foreground here, middle ground. I should say. Okay, and then get down here, we get more shadows. This whole front corner is going to be darker down here. Let me pull in some dark. Okay. All right. Okay, we're getting close to an hour, I think. Not quite. We still got some time. Had to get myself a drink of water there, folks. If I don't hydrate while I'm doing this, I'll be in trouble. Okay, so let's look now. I want to get this paint out of this brush. I think I still like the use of this flat for some reason. It's just helping me do what I want to do here. I got this green and this Prussian blue. Let me get this. I'm going to get a bluer color with more titanium white in it. Prussian blue and titanium white, it takes a ton of titanium white to lighten up Prussian blue. But on the top of this, in here, we're going to start putting in the snow. Architectural buildings, with architecture of any kind, these kind of flat edge brushes are really invaluable. Okay, some more white. I took just a small dollop of that Prussian blue and stuck it out here, and I'm still putting white in it to tone it down. This to be back here. I want this to be just a little darker right here. So it separates this roof a little bit from the defining the architecture now by where I'm putting the darker values, right? So this is the same deal here. I want this to be slightly darker. Flat brush. Great for doing this stuff. I'm also making the brush strokes. If you notice how the roof is, if I were painting this roof, I'd be going in this pattern. That also helps identify the architecture beneath. All right, how are we doing here? Let's see. Keep on, keep it on. Let me go up here and put a little bit of this. Gotta be careful, I'm going to pick up that green that's in the tree. Be real careful about that. Okay, I had a little bit of white that kind of ran over the edge of the brush, which was good. Like that. I have a distinction here. Okay. Down here. Got another roof here that has some, and it's connected, but it has a different value, slightly different value, so that it shows that it's laying at a different angle. Right? So you can see there's a distinction here. All right. This roof up here on this little guy, put him in, make him a little lighter. Just that light value difference tells you something different going on architecturally. A little shadow here, this is a little darker, slightly. Same with this. All right, I'm liking the way that looks. This over here, I've got to put in a, if I step in front of the camera here, folks, this camera behind me, I have another camera over there that's watching, and when I edit the final video, I will be putting that camera in place of this one. So if it looks like I'm blocking your view, hopefully I won't be doing that in the final edited video. Okay. How are we doing here, folks? All right, I've got some others. I'm going to get a smaller flat now. I can find a smaller flat brush. I had a real small one here a minute ago. Where'd it go? Smallest one I've got right now is this one. So I'm going to use this to sort of come down and put these other colors in here on this these eaves. I want this to could use a round brush for this, but I'm going to stick with my flats for now. See, I think that's all I want there. And then over here I've got some more that go in here like this. And then around the front of this under the snow, a little grayer. And up here like this. That's this little porch that sits out over the top of the door, entry door. And we have a couple of post-like things that sort of come down here. This is that, and then lighten it up a little. It's getting some reflections from the snow. Like that. And there's probably another one back here. I don't know if I don't see it on the building, but should be, logically. Over here. And then I got posts over here that look like the same color as these trees, these birch trees. And I have some sort of a floor out here that all right. Now, what else? What else have I got this color? I think I can put him up here very subtly. I didn't get it dark enough, but get the right exact color, but let's put it in there. Same with up here. It kind of gives a more shadow to that. And then I want to put in this row here of should be a little darker. There, and over here, same thing. Whoa. Brush got out of control there. It's okay, I think I'll leave it. I think it's going to be that. And we got this roof over here on the right side. It's got to have some color in it. But it looks like it's snow. Here we go. I think that's supposed to be grass right in there, dark green. Better throw some in there. Right in here. This is much more detailed painting than I usually do, folks. I hope you like it. I hope you give this a try, because it's kind of fun to make these scenes, but they do take a little more time. So, all right, that's that. Now let's see. Maybe I can do these chimneys. What do you think? Chimneys. How are we going to make those? It's sort of a rust color. Get some of my alizarin and dark sienna and white. I think I'm going to stick with this brush I've got. I'm going to have a couple of tones, one a darker one. I'm going to put more dark sienna in it to get the shadow side, which would be like right in here. There's that. This one do the same thing. Okay, that has sort of a reddish tone that would be in the shadow. And this other big one the same way. I'm going to put it in the shadow. Tall one. And of course I had your... I'm going to use the lighter color now for the other side. I'll come down here. Is that? Same deal here. A little bit. Okay, now thank you, Buzz. Glad you like it. Fill in these things here a little bit, kind of clean that up. Make those angles a little more distinct. Okay, so there. Now the color on this front of this house, all the brick and everything is sort of a, I'm guessing it's a combination of multiple colors on the photograph I'm looking at, but I'm going to probably make it all pretty much one color. In here, this is all, that's too much like the chimney. It's not the same color as the chimney. It's a lighter. It's got more of a, let's see here. So I'm using yellow ochre, titanium white, and a little bit of a touch of alizarin to give it a little reddish color. So that's what I'm getting on this brush now when I'm trying to paint these brick faces here. Fortunately, my brush is about the right width to make some of this work. Fits right in the area here between the This is another one where you can probably make the brush strokes go vertically or horizontally, but if you make them on this side, you want them to go the way the angle of the perspective is telling you, right? So the perspective over here is telling you to go like this. So if you make any brush strokes, they need to go as that perspective is, because you're looking down on top of it. All right, there's that. Let me come back now. I'm going to put a little bit darker color on the front because it is a little more in the shadow. This area here is slightly darker. A touch more alizarin maybe. That'll darken it down just a bit. See here. Yeah. Not dark enough. I want it darker. Particularly if we have any light shining in from this left side, this particular edge right here has to be distinctly darker. You've heard me talk about that before, maybe, called the change plane accent. When you're doing anything that has an edge on it, like a building or a barn or something like that, and you have part of it going out of the light, if there's any light coming from this way, this little edge right there should definitely be darker than what's on the other side of the edge, because the plane is changing. It's going like this, so the light is going to be darker right at this edge. Also going to be darker up under this eave. There, let me come back and put a little more paint in here. Let's do this back here as well. It's probably very tedious for you to watch. I may speed it up. I don't know. I think sometimes I like to just let you see how much effort it can take to do a more detailed painting like this. I don't spend this much time usually on many paintings, partially because I get bored easily, and I don't think you want to watch anything that's 2 hours long, but maybe some of you do. So we've got this other bit darker under here because it's all in shadow. I'm going to put this in, go around this door here. Okay, so we're getting the architectural structure of this thing pretty well laid out now. This little walkway here that doesn't have much snow on it, but it does have some color on it. I think I'm going to change that a little bit and add some more of my Van Dyke brown in there, making sure it gives you some distinction from the other part of the ground. All right, how's that looking? That looks decent. And this little path we have coming out here actually has some gravel-like stuff in it. It's sort of it's not the right color, maybe. It's had the snow cleared off, and it's kind of coming out here to where the snow out here is, and so that gives you an idea of how you get into this place. Here, let's put a little dark right in here to distinguish that. Dark up here. All right. Okay, so that's the white that's left over here. This is for like bushes that are going to have some snow over them, and they're going to cover the that part of the tree. Okay, so let me see if I can get now this. Now they've got a little bit different color brick on this one, according to my what I'm looking at, and it's got a lot more white in it, a little bit of the brown, touch of the ochre, and so I'm going to just kind of see if I can find a color that's very close to that. You can't see it because you don't have the photograph I'm looking at, but I want to put this on here. Let's see, I'm going to put it in here. Put it around here. And it has to be slightly darker right here as well, because it's another change in the plane. Okay, that little accent just made that look right. And over here I got the same deal going on, except there's no change of plane. There's going to be a window right there, so I'm just going to paint around it. And then over here we're going to start doing the same thing. Same color, a lot of white, a touch of ochre, and some dark sienna to brown it down a little bit. Let's put that in here. Okay, got the same deal down here. We've got bushes that are covered in snow that are coming up over the windows. So I'm going to leave that for coming up with some snowy highlights here. Down here like this. Bam, bam, bam. These all have a sort of a brick, a stone type of block that kind of sits right over there. It's like a header over the brick that's on the front of this house. So I'm going to see if I can remember to come back and put that in. All right, here, this is going to fill all this in. All the way down to the trees and shrubs. Finish this off. All right. What else am I missing here? Let's see. Now this door, I'm going to put this door in. I'm going to make it a little lighter. It really, actually, the door was green. It was the same color as the shutters, which I've left the shutters off. So I'm going to just have to kind of make up my own door here. But it has to be a different value or you won't see it. I'll come back and put some calligraphy over that to make it look like it's a door. Whoa, that picked up that dark. Suppose it wouldn't hurt to have some shadow in here, even along here maybe. It should be a slight value change. Okay. And let's see now, maybe I can put this little dark block. It kind of sits right here like that. There's one right here like that. One over here like that. It just adds a little embellishment to the thing. It's not a big deal. All right, so I'm getting down to not much left here. I do see some snow that I forgot to put in on this part of the roof right here. Let me go back and see if I can find that color again. Right here, this is part of the roof. It's coming down. Meets up there with this. Okay, as usual, I blocked you off. Fix all these things during the editing process, but all right, so there that is. Well, it's done. I'm going to put in some details. I'm going to get my script liner out. And hi, Greg. Glad to see you, man. This is going to require a bunch of fine detail with my script liner with a lot of thinner in it. And I need a drink of water before I go further. I'm dehydrating here. Okay. So we've got these little things here that actually, I think, you know what, I'm going to change this color. I'm going to give myself some bright yellow in here. That's going to be what's reflecting out of those windows. How are we doing on time? Well, we're hanging in there pretty good. In here, these windows all have lights in them. So I'm going to paint this as a yellow window. And we'll come back and put the black and brown over it. So I'm using Indian yellow now to get, and I've got a bunch of thinner in it so that it's really nice and runny, so it's going to cover whatever's there. because this is the color I want to reflect out on the snow. So this color is a very transparent color. You can see that it's very bright, which you'd expect to see in a nighttime scene. You'd expect to see these windows all lit up if there's somebody there. But let's put them in. Yeah, Lindy, I've got that on my things to do here to put some more shadows on the top of the roof. There's actually some trees that are actually behind here that I didn't paint in that are actually putting shadows on the roof. So I'll be doing that too before I'm finished. I'm trying to get these some small detail stuff done here. Put this in. So I said this might take a couple hours to get done because it is a lot of small detail stuff here that still needs to go into this. Get my need more there. Okay, there's that one. Finish this guy over here. Yeah, this was, if you didn't join me at the very beginning, I talked about not using at all liquid white this time. I've only put on here Winsor Newton Liquid, and I covered the whole canvas with it. So that's what's giving me the ability to kind of slide this paint around a little bit better. And I don't have to cover up my sketch and my detailed pencil lines. So I put this one up here on the top. I don't know if I can come back and lay something over the top of it and make it look like it's, yeah, this, Indian yellow is too transparent. It just shows right through. Hey Greg, you're asking if this would be my last video before Christmas. Actually, I have in my plan to do a watercolor a week from now. So if you want to tune in, I'll be doing something on the, what date would that be? The 23rd, maybe? 23rd? Yeah. So I should plan to do that. All right. You see, I'm going to go back and get some of my darker brown now and try to lighten up these window panes. I can put some of this in here. It's not dark enough hardly. So here we're going to have, where'd my paint go? Something like that. There. So I'm not trying to paint all these just exactly perfect. I'm putting in detail to highlight the edges and Over here, we're going to put in this little door. This is really a study in perspective, like I mentioned, because have these lines going the wrong way, it gives the whole wrong impression of it'll goof up your perspective. I'm going to put the doorknob right here. Okay, so there's that. What else have we got? Maybe some lines. I don't know if this is, it's really supposed to be white there. Okay. Okay, so that's coming along pretty good. I probably should have that, this front should probably be a little darker in some areas. Maybe want to just sort of gray it down just a little here and some, to make it look like it is not daylight out for sure. So I'm picking up some of this gray color I have and sort of mixing it in. These all have sort of a, it's a multiple brick type structure where they have different bricks and quite a, it would be to paint this realistically, I'd be here for days painting all the bricks that are in this, in these walls. So I'm not planning to do that. We can get a little bit of a, oh, I know what that's supposed to, I want this to have some yellow in it, so I want it to look like we're getting some warm reflections, except that's not the color I want. Get more of this Indian yellow and just sort of come in here and put in a something to warm that up just a little. Okay, I guess we could have one window where the light's out, maybe. Okay, so this is starting to reflect outside the window here. These are starting to reflect outside. This is coming down into the spaces in here. Be careful, let me get too much out there. This Indian yellow is great for making these kind of reflections because it's transparent and it paints over whatever's there, and it just gives you a really nice feeling of light coming out from these windows. So should be getting reflections from a couple windows here, some reflections from windows over here. They're going to be reflecting out into here. I got to be careful because I put this yellow over some blue and I'll be getting green reflections. Even up in here we might get some reflections of some light coming up. Okay, so this is all going to be, I'm going to come back and put in a lot of snow in here. Finish this off a little bit. I got some places that I can use the reflecting quality. All right, that's good for that now. All right, the top up here, Lindy reminded me I need to have some reflections in, not reflections, but shadows up on this roof up here. This is all one color pretty much. So I'm going to put in some things that look like there's some something going on. This area needs to be a little darker right in here because it blends into the other part of this. So this would be darker here. It would blend into that, and then even a little darker up here in some areas. So it's just giving us some nice shadows in some places. That's too dark. Well, how did I get that color? to have a little bit of a distinction here too, blending up into that part of the roof, which would be a little lighter. I think I want to all right, see what that looks like now. That looks like the roof is a little better shape. This needs to sort of blend more into this so it looks like it's a pile of snow and not just a hard edge. This needs to have a little bit of a blending going on. I see canvas sticking through here, so I'm trying to kind of correct that. You probably can't see it, but I'm trying to get this, I want it to feel rounded as much as possible. I'm going to come back and put some white in here that's going to blend it together even more. So okay. All right, I could spend a lot of time messing with this, but I'm going to stop on that right now. I'm going to see if I can get a put some of this white in my brush, and I'm going to stick with this small flat because I like what it's doing. I'm going to get some thinner in it and see if I can get some white that we can put in here. Can't see it. I need to have the dark behind it. Well, let's go up here and see if we can. Ooh, wow, picked up that blue. Yep. Happen every time we don't pay attention. Okay, there's one chimney with its smoke coming out. Get me some more of this white here and try to stay on top of the paint so that it doesn't mix with the paint that's beneath it. Okay, something like that. I want to have some snow on these trees here. Trying to just hit it once or twice and not go back over it too much, because it picks up all that paint in your brush and you've got to wipe it out before you go back in. These over here are going to have a little bit of snow on them. Over here maybe. Don't want it to look too artificial. Should be on top of whatever's there. Let's see, maybe I can do it this way. Like that. It's a little better. It uses the paint that's on the canvas to pull the paint off the brush. A lot looser. Same idea over here. Put a few of these on. Turn it over, get some more. That. It's not a ton of snow, it's just enough to touch the branches. All right. Good. Good tip, Lindy. Use your finger to swirl the smoke to see if it leaves a nice opaque look. I think I'm going to need a little more white paint because I'm running out over here. So let me get a little bit more titanium white on my palette. We'll try the finger swirl method and see if that works. Afraid I'm going to swirl in some the blue paint. Looks a little better. It didn't pick up a lot of the blue paint. It gives more texture to that smoke, I guess. Shoot, I might as well put a little bit in front of this one too while I'm at it. No sense having smoke coming out of 2 chimneys but not 3. There we go. Now we got smoke everywhere. All right. I want to come back now and use my hi, Designs by CAD Pro. Welcome. I want this white paint. Let's see if I can get what to come down here. Like that. I have to keep constantly taking the paint out of my brush. There's a little bit of a, this one here has got some snow hanging down. Boy, I just touch that and I pick up that paint in this brush. Over here I want a white, kind of a light, whoops. I want to have a bit of a distinction there to show there's snow over there. I'm just kind of putting a little edge on several of these peaks where they like kind of stick out of the shadow and they're making the shadow. Something like that. Okay. Now let's go back and get I'll put some of this dark greenish color in these bushes in the ground, like down here. Stick in some things that are going to have some snow over the top of them. So these are shrubs and bushes. So I'll be just putting in some dots and dashes here to make it look like we've got some bushes that have some snow on them. Put some violet here. Okay, and then I want to come back with this other smaller brush now with more paint and see if I can just lay in some snow on top of these bushes. Top, around, bottom. Could have put the white in first and painted over it, but it's about 6 to 1, half a dozen of the other when you're painting. You're doing wet on wet. If you had the luxury to let this all dry and come back, it'd be a little easier maybe. I think I'm going to try Lindy's trick with the finger. Get that snow and see if I can paint it with my finger. Certainly looks more like snow. Okay, that's looking better. So the finger trick works, Lindy. Thank you. And putting it on some of the trees back there, maybe. I see people that will do paintings with just their fingers. Put on rubber gloves and just go at it. Okay, let's see here. How we doing? I think I've got just a few more things to add and I'll be finished. Yeah, I hope that house is warm and cozy. It's should be sitting out here in the dark and almost dark, I guess. Probably could have had, the whole thing probably could have been just a little bit darker, but I'm kind of satisfied with it the way it is right now. I'm going to see if I can put in a few more shadows here to kind of make it look like the house is casting a few shadows. Maybe too dark, maybe, I don't know. Darken it down a little bit around. If I darken it down around the around these shadows of the reflections, rather, it will enhance those. Should be a little darker in here, probably. So whatever I do to darken that down, you see, it's making the center of interest appear brighter. So that's why you do putting dark around lighter colors if you want to kind of force the eye into the center of interest. Okay, I'm going to stop. I think I'm going to get too busy and too much going on here. Yeah, that finger trick does work, thanks to Lindy. Let me see here. I want to think maybe I'm going to just maybe soften some of this snow here with my goofy fan brush. Oh, I wanted to put some rocks in over here. Tone this down a little. Okay. Yeah, there's a few small rocks that I'm going to throw in right in this area here. And maybe I'm going to use my, what happened to my flat brush? There's my little flat one. All right, let's put in these and we'll be finished here. I'm going to put in just some things that look like there's some rocks hidden under the... See how I'm painting that again? I'm laying the brush down and doing this, letting the canvas pull the paint off. Something like this. Okay. I'm just going to let it kind of merge together with whatever's there. And lastly, put this putting a few of these just sticks and twigs and stuff in here to kind of fill this in. There's a lot of stuff that goes in here like this. Okay. Probably some similar things over here somewhere. It's good enough, I think. Maybe a few more. All right, that kind of fills it in. I don't know if these trees are good enough yet or not, but I think I'm going to leave them. I'll probably put a few more marks in here to kind of fill them in. There was some, now I'm starting to mess around, folks. I think I need somebody to tell me to stop, but there was some trees that sort of came out here that made these shadows on the roof. Right? And can't hardly see them there. I can see them, but you can't see them probably. It's good enough. Okay. Find somewhere to throw my name in here and I'll be done. I'm doing on time. 1:40 I got by my clock there. Just slightly ran out. All right, folks. I hope you like that, and hope you give it a try. The sketch is out on the website. You can download it, and I may touch up a few of these snow places there, but I think I'm pretty well done with it. I might enhance the some of this light here. I might want to retouch that because I did go over it and I sort of knocked it down a little bit, but I think I'm going to that may be all I'll do is retouch that, and I think I'm going to say that that's finished. So anyway, thanks for joining me today. I hope you like this. I'm glad you're here, and please, if you have time, share this with your friends and subscribe if you're not a subscriber, and please like it, and I would appreciate it. So I think that's all I want to tell you now. Check out my website, check out my Facebook page, and get this sketch, download it, and give it a try. So until I see you next time, this is Larry Hamilton saying so long for now. Bye-bye. There we go. All the paint on me. Thanks, folks. Thanks for tuning in. I'm glad you're here.